This is a video about retrograde planets, challenges and possibilities. The effects they might have on you and the possibility of great magic. And I always believe that whatever your birth chart says, you have free will, so you can act and change upon them. And retrograde planets usually affects most your rising sign or your sun, or in a way maybe the moon. But then you also can look at what house the retrograde planet is in. And since that can show you the area where it's affecting. And then in a lesser degree, when I talked about the degrees, that you might be born like 3rd degrees in Scorpio, like me, or something like that. That is the 3rd degree. So there are so many ways you can feel it. And of course we can say that the planets don't go backwards. They are just like putting down an anchor and staying put. And that slows things down. And many are scared, since old books often say that if that planet goes retrograde, you are prone to accidents or bad things happen. And also that depends on your birth chart as well. But in the way that we can affect things, since nobody can affect our whole life and our future. By connecting to the planets, working with the angels, the zodiac, the degrees, just roll with the punches and go with the flow. And transform everything you can transform within yourself, and do charity. I've always found that charity works better than offerings and that kind of thing. Since the planets move and act, so should we. So it isn't just a still, non-moving energy that sits there waiting for brandy or whatever offerings you are giving, or expensive this or that. They move, so they move through you like an energy as well. Unless you fight them, of course, and that's when you get these really tough situations, when you don't allow it to flow out from you. And then, of course, I found it in all areas. Let's say that Mars is retrograde. I find that it's very easy to mentally go through and study things, be active intellectually, to understand all those things you didn't really understand before. Or with Venus going retrograde, it gives you a breathing space, and you can work on to change those things that weren't so good. And Mercury retrograde, okay, everybody believes it is affecting internet all the time. But before mainstream knew about Mercury retrograde, there wasn't so much problem. So it is in one way where people focus and where they put the blame, that's where it gets this energy build up as well. So what I learned from the angels, that the angels can work above everything like that. And it is up to you whether you want to do the work or not. And then I also find that trying magic with the planets in retrograde on different planetary hours are different. So if you want to study or something like that, take just a small note. I studied in the hour of Mercury and Mars was retrograde, or Venus was retrograde, or Jupiter or Saturn was retrograde. And you might see where your keys are, the keys to really understand and go deep with your magic. And that is such a thing that you can learn things that you can't do when the planets go direct. And that is something or you might feel deeper, or you might sense things that you don't usually do. So you can practice new things and learn. And it brings more wisdom and open doors to new ways of doing things. And you can approach it. I use my own life and practice as an example, but it goes whether it is Hellenistic or whatever tradition, like the Tree of Life, the planets and the zodiac. And you have so many possibilities to vary and spice it up and try it out. And once you accept that the planets do go retrograde, just like you accept that life is not something you can control or micromanage. Life is something you're here to experience and live through and do the best you can. And once you accept that you will one day die, but then also when you accept that, the fear lessens. It doesn't ever really go away for any living thing, but it gives you the acceptance that one day it's time to go, and that's the way it's meant to be, and that happens to every flower, every bird, every animal and every human. And so on. But there are some things that might be interesting to consider, depending on what astrological system you also work with. I use the tropical, even if I'm always interested in others, since the grimoires were often written in the tropical. So to get those hierarchies to work, you work with the tropical. And medical procedures, dental work and healing things can either improve or take longer. So if you know your chart and your rising sign and so, you can work with the angels to improve those things with magic, or you can just, if you have a good overview when planets go retrograde and you take a note that it affects you, and it is usually your rising sign that gets the most, so or ascendant or sun sign. And moon if it's the moon, so it depends a little bit there, but the older you get, the wiser you get, and you find these more and more layers within your life, and so on. And since internet's been off the whole night again, and in this country it's like that whenever there is an emergency, let's say on New Year's Eve, for example, internet gets shut down. So if there's a hacker attack, if there's a threat, we lose internet, we lose all those things, TV, so on. So we don't. So it might be our government or might be technological problems. It's difficult to know, but I don't just disappear and not reply. I am here, and if I don't reply, that just means that I don't have access to internet. It is that way it is, and there's already been some. 6 days ago, there was said in the Swedish news that there were threats about some divers or frogmen translated from Sweden that attack on the internet. I don't know what is true, but it is what it is, and the energy savings of the landlords in different areas, they lower the energy, so we have less energy to run the internet, so that might be a problem. And I don't know much about the internet, but just so you know, if I'm not answering or replying, that is the only reason why I'm not doing that. So, and I don't have the modern bank ID, so I can't just connect to the. When I was sick, and there isn't a law that you should need to have it, but I can't access my bank account and buy a new phone with all these VPN things, since I had to have that ID that I can't get. So it's just been like that I don't know if there is something you can buy in, send somebody, give them money and they can buy some SIM card or something to put in the phone. I don't know if there is such a thing. Or what is VPN? If you know it's something I can buy or pay for it in cash or something, then just let me know so I have something to go on. And then I can try to have a backup system. But have a magical day, and this is all about inspiration and becoming and working with instead of fighting against. Just work with, allow the energies to flow, and then of course have faith and trust and believe in magic. Miracles do happen. So bye for now.